imagine every week you roll in and you are looking at high probability opportunities, not just high probabilities, but probabilities with an 80% chance of a successful trade. Is that something that interests you? If it is, stay with us to the end of today's session on Trade Your Way to Freedom. I've got 5 types of patterns I want to tell you about. They have an upside of an 80% probability of success. Say, this is Dennis Wilburn, the AutoPilot Trader. Join us in today's session. We have got a couple of great stocks to talk about. And just like when I was flying with the Navy, I got to be ready to roll in for those high probability trades. Hey, let's get into today's session right now. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dennis, the AutoPilot Trader. We've got Anil Parikh joining us from Delaware. Good afternoon, Anil.
Good afternoon.
And so, well, were you ready for the rally?
Yes, sir. Let's go for it.
Okay. And so, as I covered in the introduction, which of course, when I talk about the introduction to the folks in the live session, you don't know about the introduction because I haven't recorded it yet, but that will be up. But I'm going to be talking today about targets of opportunity and how how 5 patterns will help basically give you an unfair edge in this market. If that's what you want. If you don't want an unfair edge, then don't listen, just turn it off. If you are joining us over on the YouTube channel, welcome aboard. I didn't just say, hey, who's over there? And jump in the conversation also. And if you are joining us live via the Zoom meeting, again, any comments, put them down in the chat box, not in the question and answer, because nobody's monitoring the question and answers. And so let's go ahead and jump into today's session. There we go. Here's what we're going to be covering today really quickly. Is basically market movers for next week. What is the biggest market mover for next week? What do you think the biggest market mover for next week is, Anil?
Honestly, I do not know.
Okay. Well, I think what may be a big market mover next week is Jerome Powell speaks on Wednesday.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. And he has the potential of definitely moving the market. And so we'll have to, pay attention to see how that goes. There we go. Grab that and bring it over where it needs to be. And so that's one of the movers. And then 3 weeks from now, we have the Fed coming out with their next session. And we'll see if they're going to raise the rates by 0.25% or 0.5%. The rumors I'm hearing out there is if they raise it by 0.5%, that could rattle the markets and basically put us in a little bit of a sell-off, just a short-term sell-off. But I'm really pleased with what's going on with the market. We'll see that. Got a great trading tip for you today. Index reviews, and then, of course, the stock picks from both Anil and myself. Got some really great stocks to take a look at. Hey, love this. Winning principles to remember. A trading system with a proven winning edge is very valuable, but having patience and discipline to actually wait for the system to work, priceless. Remember our disclaimer. All the materials we are presenting are for trading purposes. Traders should always pay for trade any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. So let's see. I put in this graphic over here that shows what's called a bull trap. Are we in the process of seeing a bull trap? I don't know. The market is still a little bit shaky, but one of the biggest things, if you could, in the comments, lay in there and just tell me, in the chat box, what is the one thing you're waiting for right now that will, convince you that, yeah, it's time to start buying this market again? Just what's one thing that would make you less fearful of this market? Go ahead and just lay that in there. I'd appreciate that. And over on the YouTube channel, same over there. So here's where we're at as of the end of February. I haven't put in March yet, but yeah, we're pretty close to our 40% line. That's what the white line represents. And that's my target every year, just to try to hit 40% on average. with the AutoPilot trading service. Over the last 11 years, we've averaged 37%. So pretty pleased with that. Not pretty, I'm really pleased with that. And here's where we were last week. As you can see, the Dow had slipped into negative territory for the year. However, as of about 9 o'clock this morning, the Dow is back in the green, and also the rest of the indexes are also in the green. Nasdaq, which had the worst performance last year, of course, is now having a better turnaround going into this year. And let's see, great comments. When the rate's going to pause, Paul says he's waiting for 2024. I'm assuming, Paul, knowing you, that you're talking about the election of 2024. How that's going to be changing. And Ashraf, I hope you're doing well, my friend. Big guns move up higher highs, lower lows, higher lows. Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, as they are big in all indexes. Low risk, high reward trades. I love that, Alan. And that's one of the things that I'm really honing in. And I think so many people who responded back to my question about high probability chart patterns, from the responses from that, you've really enabled me to narrow down what my training is going to be talking about. And it's going to basically come down to high probability, low risk entries. And we'll get more information on that in the very near future. And so what's yours, Anil? What's your number one thing that you're, if you can get past that, you would be ready to go full bore into this market?
The weekly signals I'm getting on the triple screen system are still not has gone away, the buy signals.
Okay.
Last week on the daily chart, the signals went away. And what that tells me that on the long haul, it's still a buy.
Okay.
We got some hiccups last week.
Okay.
And we'll see how it's going to go.
And so, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, like you said, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think when the Fed meeting in 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, if they ease into it, only going with 0.25% and then hint at that they're going to basically stop the rate hikes for a while, I think that will result in strengthening of a rally. So what I'm practicing on is, I agree with Tamsin, who says it's not so much the market as it's the system that you're trading. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And that's why I always talk about trade the chart that's in front of you. So speaking of the chart that's in front of us, let's go ahead and run over here and take a look at the indexes and what the indexes are telling us as of right now. Absolutely fantastic signals on the this past week. I want to highlight a couple of these that just absolutely blew my mind. Was price actions came down from the downtrend line over the last about 3 weeks or so. Excellent reversal signals, bearish signals on the weekly chart. Now, and then they broke down from that last week. What's happening this week, though, is we stopped right at the 200-day moving average and are rebounding very nicely. This candlestick right here, and if you guys follow me over on the Instagram channel, you know I talked about this in a little short 30-second video, minute video yesterday about this bearish, bullish engulfing pattern. Look at that, just absolutely perfect gap up and go. And so those are very positive signs moving into next week. What else are we getting here? Well, one, the momentum of the TSI is basically moved up. We've had a cross to the upside. That's bullish. If we take out this downtrend line that you see right there, that would also be very bullish. And then what I'd be waiting for, my triggers from there is I'm looking for some kind of move into the gap between the 20-day and the 8-day. That would be my entry trigger. As you see, once you get these turnarounds, that gap in between that area can tend to be a high probability, low risk area of entry. So that's what I'm looking for the spiders. Now, with that said, I'm not rushing in to buy the spiders or any of the ETFs. Why? In a large amount. In other words, I wouldn't just basically push in and say, okay, I'm putting all my chips on the table, I'm going in. Why? Because it still has to get through this downtrend line up here. So I can see this moving all the way back up in here and then hit this, some bad news, and reverse back down. We'll see. I mean, we're in this big, huge triangle that looks pretty interesting and pretty good. But that's what I'm seeing for the spiders. What about the other indexes? And then we'll get over to, okay, on the Nasdaq. Nasdaq, similar type of situation. Again, bullish engulfing, breaking. This is very positive, breaking above the 8 and the 20-day moving average. And so, but again, it still has to get through that little trend line right there. Those where sell-off areas are, still in effect. And we'll see what happens when it races up into that area. One of the things you can do is go ahead and adjust out and put a alert just slightly below that trend line. And then you can go out and do what you want to do. Go to the golf course, go to the beach, go, sailing, but have your mobile phone send you an email if you hit that level just a little bit below that trend line. And then you can open up your system and say, okay, what are your trading platform and see what the heck is going on. Am I stopping and reversing there? Yeah, you have to take a look at it. But that's always a great idea and a great way to make sure you're on the proper side of the trade. Next, what else on? Like the S&P, the weekly momentum is still a little bit light. It's still tipping or tilting towards more of a correction. So, so we'll sit there and play that by ear. If it breaks back out through this downtrend line, that would be a good and the weekly momentum indicators shift back to the, moving in the upside, that would be a very positive indicator. Last but not least, let's take a look at the Russell as represented by IWM. I mean, really pretty move up to the upside. This move back into the midsection of yesterday's candlestick was classic. Now we are in gear. We've got our triggers in gear to be able to start building a position in IWM. What does IWM have to offer? I think more than the other indexes is one, this trend line that it had been tracking for the weekly price actions has been broken, and it looks like the weekly momentum is ready to shift up. So Anil, that's what I'm looking at right now. It would not be surprising, and this is why I encourage people to do this all the time, is go back and look at the last time the momentum shifted, like over here and over here, and see what the price action actually did. Somebody mentioned earlier that you can get a lot of shakeouts in this kind of stuff, but notice we went several days here, which turned into several weeks, a couple of weeks, where before the price action actually broke out and did its big run. We could do a consolidation here also. Not surprising to have it roll back over and pull back into the congestion zone before it finally does its breakout and move higher. So that's what I'm looking at. What do you think, Anil?
No, in my system, IWM looks a little stronger than the other two.
Okay.
But otherwise, I think your analysis is right on.
I always like that, getting that confirmation from your system, that is the case. And so, okay, let's go ahead and jump over back to the slides real quick. Here's a trading tip for the day. I've been doing a lot of research on the probabilities of success. I think that one of the things in defining a probability of success is you have to have in your hip pocket and know exactly what what the potential and the probability is on the YouTube channel. And so true. FOMC, to indicate they are not raising rates, would definitely push it up. Thanks, Jerry. Say, hey, kid. Thanks for the comment. Also, good call. Thank you, sir. And so let's go ahead and see. This is going to shock you. You're going to be absolutely surprised when I tell you about this. Is know the probabilities. The highest probability reversal candlesticks. Now, you know I love to trade candlesticks, but and I know that what the high probability ones are, but I hadn't really put any numbers around it. Did you know that the bullish and bearish engulfing patterns have a probability of success of 79%? That means basically almost 80% of the time they resolve in the in the direction, or if it's a bullish, to the upside, if it's bearish, to the downside. That's number one. That is number one of the high probability candlesticks. The next is the piercing line and or the dark cloud. Piercing line is a bullish formation. Dark cloud is a bearish formation, just slightly less than the engulfing patterns. What's interesting about this piercing pattern or piercing line, that is a cousin to the bullish engulfing. Number three is the morning or evening star pattern, 78%. Hammer and hanging man. Now, this surprised me big time. I did not realize that it only has a 66% probability of being a successful reversal candlestick. And then last but not least, the bearish and bullish and bearish haramis, 63%. The thing to remember about these candlesticks, though, is the bullish candlestick reversal signals happen after a downtrend. It's on all of those. And so that's multiple days, multiple weeks of a downtrend, and you get that signal, you can stand by to take action. They say that these upper candlestick patterns, the ones 70% and above, are what they call self-confirming patterns. But I won't get into the rest of that because we're going to save that for next week, because I'm going to be talking about, tune in next week, find out what the actual expected move of these high probability patterns are. You will be absolutely shocked. And so, yeah, I hope you find this value. If you found this information valuable, just let me know, and we'll cover that. So remember, master a few and watch your succeed explode. And so any surprises there, Anil?
No, I did not know the numbers, so that's good information. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll come back to that. So, hey, let's take a look at the stocks we're going to be looking at for the week. And we're going to start with Anil's. And this week, Anil, I do have the proper stock ticker to put in, and that's LNTH. LNTH. That's Lantheus Holdings. Now, what do they do?
It's one of the medical products stock. I think something to do with the medical imaging.
Okay.
And the stock is on IBD's long-term leader.
Okay. Yeah. Very familiar with it.
Was also featured in IBD New America back in September. So
okay.
I was following that, and all the fundamentals are looking good, and I got signals on my system, so it's on the Delaware focus list.
Okay, where Okay, where will you be buying it?
Kind of right here, right now.
Okay.
It's still in the base.
Okay.
If you look at the weekly chart, and it's, I think, at around 16% from the base, so it's not broken out yet on the weekly chart.
Yeah, because the base IBD wise, when it takes out that high there, that's one of the trigger points, but also you've got your alternate entry point.
Yeah, right.
Which would have been down in here, but yeah, no, that looks really good. Got really good response after earnings.
Yeah.
Look at LNTH, folks, if you want to get that on your watch list. And then my stock is FTNT. Now, if you're an AutoPilot trader member, we will be talking about this at the 12 o'clock session. So this is come down, price actions have come down to the 20-day moving average and bounced, the bullish engulfing from yesterday. And it's not a fast mover, but I've got really good indications that it's going to continue up. As you see, on the weekly TSI, the momentum, it never really crossed over and now has moved back to widening. And so I would be looking at this one, Anil, because I've done a couple of things here. Is one, we have broken that trend line right there. And so I know already that if I put a stop below the swing low, that's a little bit less than 5%. So I'm within my range. And so I could, as long as it didn't what it has done already today, I'd be looking at buying that today, or looking for a pullback just as a test back into the midsection, about $60.15. Then probably put a 10% profit target initially, and with a 5% stop loss. So what do you think? What's the system say about FTNT?
No, the system says here the buy signal actually came here on January 23rd on the daily triple screen.
Okay.
Followed by on February the 6th on a weekly triple screen. So
okay, cool.
Looks good.
So yeah, so you get a signal on the weekly here, about right here, and then that's just a nice little pullback into the breakout, and excellent pattern. So
yeah,
okay,
good.
Anil, I think that should be just about a wrap for today. Let's and just respectful of people's time. Any other questions over there?
I like your probability and high probability candlestick reversal patterns. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to be providing more of that along, because one of the biggest questions that came out of I sent out just a question asking people, please answer this one question. And it was about high probability chart patterns. What would you want to know most? And, one of the biggest answers that came back is when and where and how do you get in? And how do you check them out? How do you know that's a pattern? So what I've decided to do that is causing me to revise slightly what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be getting into the how, where, what it looks like, but I'm leaning more towards the candlesticks patterns than the actual chart patterns, because the candlesticks happen more often. And some of the patterns, as you're aware, can take weeks and months to set up. So that's something to stay tuned to. Thanks, Jerry, and thank you, Say Hey Kid, over on the YouTube channel. And he says, liking your covering the importance of knowing the probabilities. And so, yeah, if you know the probabilities, gosh darn it, it gives you an unfair edge over the majority of other people out there trading because they don't know the probabilities of success. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox. And so, hey, if you're looking to, and this is a really crummy analogy, but because I do the autopilot trading, I'm an old naval aviator. I used to fly jets for the Navy, right? Now, what the analogy is between autopilot trading and fishing, I don't know, other than we basically find every year where the big fish are swimming and also where to take action with the big fish. And so if you guys can explain the analogy between, big fish and autopilot trading, let me know and I'll work that in. So there's a link here, and the link also will be in the description. So that's it for the week. Anil, thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoy it.
When am I gonna be presenting to your group up in Delaware?
I'll confirm the date with you, but it's most likely it's going to be Thursday, March 23rd, or Wednesday.
Awesome. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, because we're going to be talking on that about what I've done to be consistent over the years on beating the S&P and that kind of stuff. And so that's what we're going to be covering. So again, aloha. God bless everybody. Have a great weekend. And Anil, again, I'm honored to have you on with me. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. That's great. It's great education for me also. Thank you.
Okay, friends, goodbye and our good day, and have a great rest of your weekend. Aloha.